2020 with a pandemic, shaky economy, human rights violations, and riots. What might be coming next, and why is it all happening? Leo Knighton Tallarico, a longtime professional astrologer, will show us the planetary movements behind all this transformation. Is it possible extraterrestrial beings are a part of all this? Sit back and enjoy the ride as Leo takes us on a journey into the cosmos, showing us humanity's movement into the Age of Aquarius, which will unite us all, even in the face of our world's challenges. And now, Perspectives from the Sky with Leo.
Hi everyone, welcome to Perspectives from the Sky, November 13th, 2021. Sometimes I mix up what day or year it is lately. Don't say you're old, though that might be true. Other people are telling me the same thing, that with time seems to be changing. It's not the same rhythm that it used to be. One of our guests today, we'll talk a bit about that, about the concept of time. Ron D'Amico will be here today. Ron lives here in Sedona, as I do, and he's a healer mainly, is what I would say, a powerful healer. And he's also quite good at moving through consciousness, which we'll be doing together today, Ron and I. I also want to make sure that I ask him today how people can get a hold of him, because he does some phenomenal things. He really does. And you'll know just by listening to him today how true that is. And our other guest today, she's here all the time. Well, actually, not just on the show. I'm with her all the time on the show and in life. That's Deborah Elelia Tallarico. She is my wife, my partner, and she's another one who's a really wonderful healer. And she'll be leading us in a meditation today, one that is meant to help us all during these very challenging times. And that they are, aren't they? It started getting really challenging in January of 2020. That was when there was a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. And Saturn-Pluto conjunct always means transformation. But the way that it works is it destroys that which is not right anymore. By right, I mean as we evolve, as we change, as we grow, certain traits that we have that are right for a certain segment of our life, a certain season of our life, just aren't right for us anymore. And the people oftentimes that were a part of our old consciousness, they're not right for us anymore. And then we know we either have to transform the patterns with them, or sometimes the universe will just kind of, say, that's it, time is up. That does happen. Well, I do need some water. So that's when it started, this big wave at the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. And that kind of gave us a warning about this virus, this pandemic that got here. It didn't really get to the States, I don't believe, until March of 2020, but it was actually already known to exist in December of 2019. So January 2020 was really a good time for Saturn conjunct Pluto. I don't mean a good time, just a time that makes sense. And we had some eclipses too surrounding that. We had two eclipses in December and January, December 19 and January 2020. So besides the COVID that came on then, the economy started falling apart. Pretty bad for a few months. And then a couple months later after that, we started to see more about how the racial divisions in our country and the abuse given to people of color by authority figures, police in this case, became really, really evident. I think those of us that want to go back to the 70s, we saw such big change around women's issues, around criticizing the government if it's not doing the right thing in our estimation. And a lot of racial gains happened in those 60s and 70s. Martin Luther King, Muhammad X, that's not his name. Martin Luther King, and this other guy who I just forgot his name, came onto the scene. And Martin Luther King, more gentle, loving, and the Malcolm X, more violent. And both of those arms of the racial movement worked together, not at the same time, but worked together to make great changes in racial issues in this country. Job was not done. In fact, after those years of the 60s and 70s, a lot seemed to go backwards during the Reagan years. And now it seems like there's this, don't know which way we're going to go. And that is one of the ways of seeing this, what's reflected to us, is the culture wars that have been getting stronger and stronger and stronger. When Trump came into office, that's when it became more obvious soon afterwards that people that we thought had really transformed or evolved around accepting people no matter what their race or gender, etc. is, found out that wasn't true. And in August of 2017, we found out in Virginia, at the protests which turned into riots there, and neo-Nazis, white supremacists, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all of them got into some pretty rough stuff then. And we all knew that this is the culture war. And this is why we're at a turning point. And that turning point comes at a time as we just moved into Age of Aquarius, in my estimation, last summer solstice of 2020. And that was a time when Trump did not get reelected, and Joe Biden came on the scene, and people took a big sigh of relief. The job's not done because we have a Democrat instead of Republican, everybody. I mean, isn't it kind of obvious that the whole system is corrupt, old, not doing its job anymore? Doesn't it seem pretty obvious that money is what makes decisions, not the values very much anymore? And we're no longer a simple country with wonderful values. That's not our identity anymore. We are part of an empire. Western civilization's empire. And it's powerful, and NATO's a part of that. And as we move into this new age, which is now, it's about diversity within unity. It's about equality. It's about fairness. It's about love and truth being the pillars of that new age. So look out and see the corruption. Look how corporate entities are ruining and running our lives. And sometimes it seems like, God, there's nothing we can do about it. But there is. But it'll be within the framework of this changing of ages, because the changing of ages automatically, by the nature of the changing of ages, will bring events that will help us to change our consciousness. Will everyone change their consciousness? Come on. No, of course not. But the hope is that enough of us are going to change consciousness so that we can bring in this new Aquarian age and start letting go of more and more that which holds us back to the old age. The United States and Western civilization are an empire now. The age that we just left started with an empire and a spiritual revolution. Christ and Muhammad, 600 years after him, kind of led a movement toward spirituality that actually turned into religion more than it did spirituality. In fact, a lot of what the spirit was meant to be in these religions did not exist, does not exist that much. Some people, I'm sure it does. But as a collective, it doesn't seem that way to me. So we're all coming back to like spirit again, the pureness of spirit, just like we did at the beginning of the last age. But with this new age, we are changing so much, and the empires leaving our world is a big part of that. I know a lot of you are sitting there saying, well, if the United States is no longer an empire, look at Russia and China, they're getting real big. Well, yeah, they are. They're getting big to challenge the United States empire. But we're going to be without empires. The Aquarian age is very much like the revolutions that happened in the late 1700s in France and the United States. Because what's wanted is power comes to the people, us, of the people, by the people, and for the people. When I talk a lot about America and the empire going down, believe me, my heart is very much connected to the United States as I see it, as I feel it, as I was taught that it is. I don't want that to come down. I want the unfairness in our world and the corporate running everything, or political correctness running everything. And instead, we, the people, take over. Because it's our responsibility. It's not just our right. I think this is where we go off sometimes. It's not just our right, it's our responsibility. You don't really get rights without responsibilities. And so that's where we are. Here's something else about ages. By the way, I will talk about the couple of eclipses that are powerful eclipses that are coming up in a powerful couple of months. But people will often say, I've heard them say to me a lot, I don't understand how you believe that there's this good universe or, God, goddess, whatever you're thinking. It's like, what? How can you have all these people suffering everywhere and then tell me that there's this power greater than us that we can rely on? And I say back, we're in co-creation with this universe, with this God force, whatever you want to call it. It brings us like a weather system. It brings us energy coming in. And then we decide what we're going to do with that energy. That's our responsibility. What do we... If I give you a park to play in, or to build houses in, or do whatever you want in that park, and you have all the people in the park with you, and then you destroy the park, and you start getting violent with the people that are there, you're going to blame me for giving you the park? Think about it. It's our responsibility. Yeah, there's something greater than us, and it brings in these weather systems, so to speak, energy systems. But we have to take responsibility for this world that we live in. Otherwise, this Aquarian age is not going to happen the way you would like it to happen to me. The first breath of the new age, planetarily speaking, was when Uranus was discovered in 1781. Before that, Saturn was considered the furthest planet out. And Saturn is a lot about rules, regulations, commandments. Sound right? Yahweh, the God of that time, was very much a punishing God. And some people still are loyal to that God, the punishing God. Well, so that's your God, okay. But I don't think our whole collective is going to survive any longer with that God running things. So Uranus was discovered in 1781, Neptune in 1846, Pluto in 1930. And those three planets are the ambassadors for the new age. Look at the first one. I don't have time for all three of them today to discuss them a lot. But let's just look at the first one. Uranus was discovered. Uranus actually is the ruling planet of Aquarius. So that's a very important discovery there. 1781. What was going on in the world in 1781? Well, surrounding that date, we have an American Revolution and a French Revolution. Hello. It was time to start looking at things about an Aquarian age then, in 1781. And that was about we the people. And it was also about kings, queens, dictators, governments, whatever it is, telling us who we need to be and what kind of lives we need to lead. That was the beginning of the Aquarian age, of moving beyond the kings and queens and the authority figures. But again, let me say, if you don't find an authority figure inside yourself that says, I take responsibility for my life, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. But it's going to work. Aquarian age is coming. Yeah, you can say, well, what if we don't measure up? What do you mean measure up? What if we don't change our consciousness in a way that we're representing the age of Aquarius? That's an answer I don't know. That's a question I don't know the answer to. I do know that the quality of it, if we don't do our work, our job, our inner work, will not be the level that we would want it to be. It would just be a struggle for 2,160 years, which is what the length of an age is, by the way. 2,160 years. So if you look right before Christ it started, you can see what I mean. You can see what I mean. That it's happening now. And we have to take with us the best of that last age. Christ. We need to bring Christ consciousness with us. What we don't need are the churches that have lost the soul and the heart and don't represent what Jesus brought to this world. So, we'll talk a little more about Neptune and Pluto next time, okay? So again, what we have to do is we have to connect inside ourselves with what the age of Aquarius consciousness is. On this show, we talk a lot about it. And with Ron, we're going to talk about it some more today. Excuse the noise. What the United States is going through now is a Pluto return. Its first one ever. How often does that happen? Once every 250 years. How old is the United States? Almost 250 years old. So that's what a Pluto return is. It's like it goes full cycle all the way until it gets right back to where it was at the inception of the country. In this case, July 4th, 1776. Pluto in the natal chart of the United States is military-industrial complex. Military-industrial complex. What does that mean? It means empire running the economy and running the world through the military. So the changes that need to be made over these next few years are within the military-industrial complex and that empire. As Pluto returns to itself, we get the opportunity through events that show us that it's not working anymore, which it already is. And then we make our changes from there, our transformation from there in our consciousness. So I'm going to want to talk a little rapidly because there's a couple of people I want you to be able to listen to today, not just me. These are the things that I highlight. Realizing its economy and military police issues. So pandemic comes along. That's still on the table, not gone. And just from a consciousness standpoint, it's probably going to stick around as long as we need it on a deeper level to stick around. As long as we're not getting the lessons of what it is, it's not going to be gone, regardless of what the sciences are. Sciences are important. That's certainly what's going to change things on the physical level. But if things don't change on the heart and soul level, they're not going to change. We're going to be in that same spot. There's many different ways of looking at that. And maybe we'll be able to talk more about that with Ron today, too. Got to laying a lot on Ron's plate today. So we have the culture war too. Okay, so I don't want to beat around the bush and I say, you're all adults here. And I do kind of pussyfoot around with this stuff. I'm not wanting to say it straight out, but something we're about to move into a pretty dangerous part of this transformation of our country and world. The economy is really, you know it if you're really tuning in. Economy is going to go belly up pretty soon. We're in a really friggin' big bubble. And that bubble is going to get burst. And I don't know how to give you financial advice. I know there's people out there that can help you with that. All I can do is just give you the vision of that's what's coming. Likely before spring, the beginning of it. Likely within the eclipse season. But they have a way with the economy, federal system, of avoiding it happening by printing up more and more money all the time. Inflation way up, partly as a result of that. But it's like when someone's dying and they want to be put on life support systems, when you really could have let them die, that's what it feels like. But I'm beginning to believe that the power of the planetary stuff that I'm seeing is such that we're not going to be able to keep it on life support systems anymore. But who knows? It's possible. So the economy, and the second part, and maybe we can all. I do believe in this. Maybe we can all get in places inside ourselves where we can shift this energy. But if we don't, what war is really intense war across this globe is on the way. Where? Well, if you take a look at what's going on now, Russia with Ukraine is just about at that place now. China vociferously saying that they want to invade and take back their island, Taiwan. People go, no, they won't. They don't want to disrupt. They're either going to do it this season, or they're going to make strong enough waves toward doing it that some months later, it'll be just natural for it to happen. There are a lot of countries out there that realize that after Trump got elected, and even now, the strength of the United States is not like it used to be. And from that level of being, that ego way of being, I know within that world inside of me that that's what's coming, and that's what they're thinking, and that's what they want to do. Iran also, Israel, the Middle East is where a lot of our Western culture and our Western religions, think about it, were birthed in the Middle East. And so full circle, Middle East is where a lot is going to happen that shows us how bad our consciousness is still. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Not very good for the new age we were moving into. Eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Not going to work. But it's there. It's prevalent there. And big wars are going to break out as a result with Iran and the Palestinians and Israelis. That's another one that's been the life support systems trying to just keep it going the way it used to be, but that's not going to last much longer. So I'm going to tell you about the eclipses, and then we're going to bring Mr. D'Amico on, and then we're going to bring on Ms. Deborah. So we have one eclipse that's going to be on the 19th. That's coming up pretty damn soon. And that one will be in Taurus, Scorpio. Sun in Scorpio, Moon in Taurus. And then 2 weeks later on December 3rd and 4th, depending on where you live, it's going to be a Sagittarius solar eclipse, total solar eclipse. Here are the degrees of the zodiac that will be most affected. So you can either check your chart or have someone check it for you. Mostly if you have fixed planets, or planets in fixed signs, that are between 25 degrees of the fixed sign and 30 degrees of the fixed sign, you'll feel it more than others. What are the fixed signs? Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. If you're a mutable sign or have planets in mutable signs, and you're between 9 and 13 degrees of those mutable signs, Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Virgo, you also will be greatly affected. And then around from 24 to 28 degrees of cardinal signs, you'll be greatly affected. And that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Speaking of the cardinal signs, the United States stock market was begun, and I'd rather exact date in front of me, not right here, but in the late 1700s. And that's being heavily aspected right now. Pluto, Pluto, guardian of the underworld, is making a square, which is a difficult angle, to the Saturn that sits in the chart of the stock market. There's Pluto and Saturn again. So the stock market's going to really be having a very rough time very, very shortly. Likely within the next 2 months. Again, I don't know how powerful the life support systems are, maybe a few months after that, but not that long. Not that long at all. So you know when the eclipses are, you know the degrees of the zodiac where you're more challenged, but remember this, what we're moving to is a better world, better consciousness, better age. There's no doubt. Should you feel afraid when you hear some of these things? You think, I don't feel afraid? I certainly feel afraid. But we need to do better. We can't let the fear run us. We can't fall in little rabbit holes where it's hard to get back out because we're engulfed in fear and or hatred, which is what is being put out there too, to hate the enemies. Be leery of the enemies, if there are enemies. But to hate them, I don't see why. So we're going to bring on Mr. D'Amico in a second. So we'll be fine. We're going to all be together as we move through this. And as far as the show goes, usually it's 2 weeks I do another show. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do one next week, which is the day after the eclipse. Then I'll skip Thanksgiving weekend. And then the weekend after that, which is another eclipse weekend, the Sag solar eclipse, I'll come back on again for that. So next week and then 2 weeks after that. Okay, Leo, you've talked enough. Let's bring on Mr. D'Amico. There he is.
Hello, my good friend. How you doing?
Pretty good, Ron.
Good. I absolutely loved everything you were talking about.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's very rich in what I'm going to call dynamic truths, but then we have to decide how we want to ride those truths. There's so much in what you were bringing about. And the one thing I kept coming back to over and over again is the idea, but the true nature of if we allow the best of who we are to come together with others that are choosing the same, that's when we begin to create, I'm going to say, a dynamic force that becomes far more stable, so we can ride what's going to be happening with grace, if you will, and ease. It's just because there's so much there, and panic has a tendency to run the show. The deeper, unsettled, uncleared emotional pathways become the things that we struggle the most with. But if we take these, like you were talking about, 2 months for the first shakeup, and then 4 more months plus or minus after that for a bigger shakeup,
Yes.
It's like if we can focus on putting to rest and really resolving the inner instabilities, that'll help us navigate through this with greater ease. And then we can also lean in to our fellow travelers to feel how it feels to stabilize and then move through, even if they're not physically with us. If we can feel ourselves connecting to that collective of beings that have chosen to awaken,
Yes.
whether it's just our planetary system or whether we look at it from a universal construct.
Yes.
You know, if we can plug into that and literally begin to breathe the nature of that arena, we can make it manifest here in our actions and our intent. And because we resolved a lot of the fear patterning, then we hold a more stable ground, even though there may be a voluminous, number of individuals that are struggling with fear. We can hold that constitutional integrity and keep it that way as it progressively permeates. And those that are ready can look and go, I don't know what that is, but I've got to go over there.
Yeah. Energetically, they're attracted.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm sorry. I just wanted to
No,
get that
don't be
piece
sorry.
in.
That was great. That was good.
You know,
I like the way you explained that.
So let's play.
Okay. Tell me, first let the people know some ways that they can take care of themselves or within their consciousness to help them through this period of time we're going through.
You know, it's meditations and practices similar to what Deb's going to be doing today. I don't know what she's going to be doing exactly, but I can feel the essence of what she's going to be engaging in. But one of the things that I have people do is always, always, always focus on your breath. Because at a human level, it's a gaseous exchange. You pull in what you require to nourish and cleanse the system, and then you exhale to release any toxic residue. Okay, that's just a functional standpoint. Now, if we look at breath as a universal life essence, is something that is, the earth, the tides, ebbs, flows, nature, ebbs, flows. If we can look at the breath as an ebb and a flow and an exchange or a dance of what we require for action and what we would like to do to integrate in the experience. If we can settle into our breath and use that breath as an opportunity to settle into our spirit essence as our guide, as opposed to our human framework as a way of survival. And if we can focus on literally just anchoring our physiology into the essence of our spirit, our soul, we can begin to feel a sense of ease that we don't often have an opportunity to experience. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's say that I'm sitting in my living room and I've got the TV on, and I find out that somebody's invading somebody or something's being done to someone, and I'm starting to panic inside. I'm starting to get really nervous, really scared. What can I do in the moment to help me through that?
It's so funny you bring that up because, and I think I've talked with you about this, for probably about 2.5 years, I looked at news outlets every single day with purpose to get triggered. I wanted to feel where my triggers were, where my imbalances and instabilities were. And every time it happened, I focused on my breath to align with my true self. Even if we don't know how that feels, everybody innately is aware that there is an aspect of them that is more stable, wiser than their human thought processes and their human remembered life experience is.
Yes.
And I always would go to breathing into that. And as I was doing it, I would release, I would cry, I'd get angry, I'd pace, I'd do whatever I had to do to keep breathing that purified essence of spirit into me. And it just helped me constantly flush what I was feeling. So as I was looking at these things over time, I could see them with a greater degree of compassion and not fear. I was able to process out or just flush my system so I didn't fall into the pattern of fear. but I could use it to at least stay present enough to realize I was terrified because I didn't know what to do or how to work with it. And then as I moved through all of that, the ways of navigating those waters of what we see online, papers, TV, it brought me to become aware of how to align myself so I could be present as I was reading these and then put the larger vision of what I had into the matrix of that. Now I know it sounds all technical, weird and stuff like that, but literally the simplest way to do it is, as you see these things, breathe into what I call your sacred space. Your sacred space is your spirit essence. Allow your human form to step into that space and know that no matter what, your essence is safe. Even if you feel your physiology, your body is at risk, you can still feel that the essence and the nature of who you are is uncorruptible.
Yes.
And as we practice doing that with greater consistency and we tie it into our breath, eventually every time you breathe, when a stressing situation occurs, you'll find yourself settling down with one simple breath. But it takes time, will, and patience to navigate that.
Speaking of knowing who we are, what if I don't know who the hell I am? How do I do that?
Sometimes that's even better. Because if we have an idea even or an identity that we've created, that is a structure that we operate through. But if we're searching for something that is outside our knowledge base, our experience base, in this lifetime, we may not know who we are, but each and every one of us, if we're willing to, we can begin to feel somewhere within us where there's an essence of calm and ease. And it doesn't have to be this massive place you step into and you just like all of a sudden you're in bliss. But it's any moment that you remember just breathing, relaxing, feeling at rest, and then maybe smiling. But it's just a smile of, oh yeah, that's it. That is you. Now, it may at that particular point be non-definable, but I'm not interested in whether or not you can identify it. I'm interested that you can feel it, because the more you step into it with repetitiveness, the more that begins to be the arena that you live your life from.
Yes. Doesn't it seem more and more to you, it has been to me lately, that just as we talked about now, that's why I asked you the question, because some people are going, how do I figure that out in the middle of the day? The movement away from our heads, especially our left brain, doesn't that seem like that's something that's part of the evolution right now, that we're moving more into like getting the feel of something, the tone of something, understanding things at a different level than just our linear mind?
Absolutely. And that's part of, you've heard it, I've heard it, we speak about it. We talk about this, the new forms of a human paradigm that are presenting themselves. Dimensional realities, a lot of people talk about it.
Yes.
And the essence of it, all that it means, whether you talk about it, dimensional realities or paradigms, all you're saying is, I have chosen to access more of myself that I didn't even know I had access to. That encompasses and embraces everything I am, instead of compartmentalizing where I operate from. Okay. So what's happening is we're doing this, that growth into the awareness, the intuitive aspect of self. What I call common awareness or common sense is what we're familiar with the term.
Yes.
Common awareness or common sense is our true nature. That is a blend of logic and feeling. It's the intellect in relationship with, not versus. That's part of the challenge we run into.
Right.
It's this against that. that if we can pull that divisive line out, and we can literally say, it is not about one or the other or against the other. If we can take the dualistic framework and we can dissolve that line of delineation from the bad to the good, and we can just say, these are places or opportunities of energy that we wish to bring together in specific ratios or proportions to create an instance where we can birth who we feel we are and what we want to bring into this world.
I think this is very important, what you're saying.
Yeah, and if we can get there with greater consistency, life gets simpler. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it starts getting simpler.
I think the most important part that you, at least for me, the most important part of what you said, they're always important, but most important is this us versus them mentality.
Absolutely.
It keeps us in this old world,
Yeah.
and keeps us at each other's throat. And I don't know who it benefits. I mean, maybe it benefited somebody in the past when survival of the fittest had a certain kind of way of looking at that. But doesn't it seem more and more like survival of the fittest is the fittest ones are the ones who are in community with others, not against anybody?
Absolutely. The paradigm of what fitness is has changed.
Mm-hmm.
It truly has shifted. And if we really can allow ourselves to see it from a higher perspective, as you always talk about this, we can talk about the nitty gritty. On the ground, this is what's playing out. We're fighting, we're quarreling, I'm stronger than you are, you're less than I am, whatever it may be. But if we can look at all of this and say, what happened in this country, what's happening between and amongst this country, China,
Yes.
Russia,
Yes.
Middle East, all that I can see in this is that each has created an opposite to something that was out of balance. We thought we had it all. We still think we know exactly what we're doing as a country. We may have a rough idea of what we're doing, but because we carry so many wounds associated with power deficits.
Oh, God, yes.
Okay, and the need to feel stronger than.
Yes. And better than.
Exactly. And if we were willing to put all of that and begin to just let it dissolve, which is what you're seeing, within politics, you're even seeing it within business constructs and all the different systems that we have. They're all walking around questioning themselves, especially the ones that are seeing a slightly bigger picture. But if we can settle in, see what China's doing, seeing what Russia's doing, the Middle East is doing, and other parts of the world, if we would just look and say, what pain are they using to generate their actions?
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you...
In a way, sorry.
Where'd that come from?
That's weird. That was Siri on my phone, started picking up and talking to me. I should know better than to have
You
any of
accidentally
that.
said the word Siri?
Whatever it was, and it's like she just started talking and going, "Oh, hello, how are you?"
Well, this new world is very inclusive. She can come with us too.
Absolutely, we can take the AI with us. We can utilize it wisely instead of having it consume the world and turning it into the Matrix. So we can go anywhere we want to go. But if we were to see and just look at the actions of China, Russia, the Middle East, if we can honor the pain that they carry that's generating their behavior, you don't need to take over another country. You don't need to take over territory when you're stable within your own right and confident within who you are, truly who you are.
This is good. And if we go to the diversity within unity way of looking at things,
Exactly.
it's like that's what we're all kind of like trying to work out.
Yep.
So for a lot of people, it's like if they see how they're different than someone else, they automatically see that as this is a combative situation.
Right.
Instead of we have two different ways of looking at it, two different ways of being, we can find a way to bring that together, not be at war.
Exactly. But what that requires is one side's going to have to listen to what the other side is saying.
And have empathy. Yes.
Exactly. And then you may be talking about the mechanics of what you're struggling with, but how are you feeling that's generating why you're afraid? But God forbid we stand there as adults, and especially adult males, and say, You know what? I am terrified. I'm terrified that I'm going to lose the essence of my heritage, how I see myself, where I've gained my strength from that lineage, that heritage, that cultural dynamic, and I am going to hold on to that for all it's worth. Then you're going to die with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's take it, extract the best of what it gave you to help you find your true nature.
Right.
Bless it, thank it, and then start moving in another direction. And that direction is what you're talking about. I am unique in my own right. You, Leo, are unique in your own right. Your audience is unique, each individual in their own right. But all of us have a common goal: for life to be the fullest of what it can be, to benefit everyone. Whereas I elevate, that helps create a draft where you elevate. You exceed me, and then you help me come and exceed you. There's no competition. There's just the excitement of growth.
So some people are thinking right now, does that mean that I can't? We're going to bring out Deborah in a couple of minutes. Anyone who's ready for that meditation very shortly. Yeah. There's people out there that are going to say, you're making me feel like if I have an argument with somebody, that somehow I'm breaking this new way of looking at things that you're talking about. And, it's not that at all. You can have big arguments with people, but you don't have to leave them.
Well, the thing is, have an argument. But the question is, are you having an argument with the person because you don't like who they are? No. Or is it that you're looking to dissolve a way of connecting and interfering with each other that's not serving the individual or yourself?
That's right.
I've done this with my wife over and over again. There's this, you get this headbutting. And every time I do the best I can to look at it and go, okay, so what am I bringing into this that I want you to take ownership of that really may not be used? More than likely not. And it's actually me, because I got a baggage full of stuff over here that I'm carrying with me, but I want to make it you. How do I shift that? How do I literally talk about my pain without making it the person's issue?
Yes.
And then how can the other person talk about this, as you were bringing it up, triggered this for me. And as a result of it, I want to pummel you, but it's not you I want to pummel. It's the history that I carry that's making me less than I want to be. That's what I want to pummel. Get intense. We confuse the fact we go and we say we're getting angry. What if you're actually impassioned to stop the pattern? And we confuse that with anger because it's just intensity. But because we don't understand the subtleties of what we feel, we don't have that experience through that quiet and being within the breath and our awareness of who we are that we may not even know. That's why we take it as a fight when it may not be a fight.
Right. And then, we get rid of this control that fight or flight has over our systems and our world.
And that's where breath helps get that fight or flight mechanism in check.
Yes.
If your physical life's a threat, activate, engage, do whatever you feel you need to do. But if not, it's just words. What? Your ego's a little wounded?
Well, that's the deal. People are using their ego's fight or flight because their ego's in danger.
Right.
It's only meant for your physical being to be in danger.
Exactly.
I hope you're going to be a regular on the show, because a lot of things are very. Thanks. That'd be very.
This is so much fun to play. I love doing this with you. Anytime, let me know. We'll figure it out.
Would you tell the people that are listening today, and watching, how they can get a hold of you? And then what kind of work you might want to do for them?
The easiest way is to go to my website, and it's ron-damico, DAMICO.com. And you can find all kinds of information on different programs that I have. And what I do for people is help them get to the deepest imbalances they carry, whether it's in this lifetime, multiple lifetimes, whatever, wherever, however. I notice the imbalances. And I focus on releasing the discord within the system to create more of a unification within self so that you become more congruent. We walk around fractured all over the place. Right. And you can do all the healing in the world you want. But if you don't take the essence of what was healed and bring in that which brings you to that next level, you're gonna fumble and bumble your way through. And I just help integrate everything together as things release, and your body then progressively begins to remember how to do it on its own.
And Ron is not BSing, because I know many people who have gained so much from being with him. So thank you, Ron. We'll talk again very soon, I hope.
Thank you so much, my friend. Take care. And Deborah, enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Hey, Deb.
Well, that was a perfect segue. Thank you, Ron. A lot of things he talked about will be woven into the meditation. But first, I just wanted to say a couple things. So pretty soon, the moon in Pisces will be conjunct Neptune. So it'll be a very mystical feeling when close to when we do the meditation. The exact conjunction is very soon. So I just wanted to say that. So allow yourself to surrender today and just let yourself dream and be in that more mystical energy today with the moon in Pisces conjunct Neptune. And then I wanted to say something about the full moon eclipse that's coming up, just something really quick that will be woven into the meditation a little bit. But I just discovered that the full moon eclipse at 27 plus degrees is actually very close to the Pleiades gateway. So Pleiades is at 0 degrees of Gemini.
What does that mean for people? What does that mean for people
that
to be
means
at that portal?
that people that have an affinity for the Pleiades,
Yes.
you may feel that, you may feel extra activated. And the Pleiadian energy, which, I mean, a lot of the Pleiadian energy is about soul healing. So I think that's very significant that the full moon is in that gateway. So I think it has the potential to bring forth soul healing for us, healing energies from Pleiades coming through.
Great. That's great.
And the other thing, I was meditating on this full moon because I'm going to be doing a full moon ceremony the night before.
Please tell people about that.
So that's going to be Thursday night. I'm doing it before because a full moon is actually in the middle of the night. So Thursday night, I'll be doing a full moon meditation and ceremony at 5 p.m. Arizona Mountain Standard Time. Anyone can go to my actually contact me to sign up. But when I was tuning into this full moon and how, whenever there's an eclipse, it brings up whatever's in the shadow that needs to be healed or transformed. And that's what I've noticed. And it's just like really intensified. So I was feeling this today before the show. And, Taurus, when I think of Taurus, I think of beauty. I think of Venus and, resource and lavishness and, those comfort. And what I think for this new moon, I just want to plant this little seed to tune into the shadow side of that. What is the shadow side of that? The shadow side of that is holding on too tight to our attachments.
Correct.
It can lead like greed. And I think that's one of the things as a human family that we're working on transforming right now.
Without a doubt.
Is greed and hanging on too tight to the materialism.
Yes, for sure.
So it's my prayer that this gateway of the eclipse, because I believe that all the eclipses are gateways of transformation, that maybe if we focus on that, we can transmute and transform that within ourselves. And I think to stay, because eclipses are so intense and powerful, it's important to, like Ron was talking about, find that calm place inside. Yes. Find that place inside that feels okay. Could be your soul essence.
Speaking of that, let's bring people into that calm space. I want to make sure you get most of this meditation. They cut us off.
I'm watching the time.
Okay,
I'm planning it. So what I'm guided to do is, first of all, to encourage people to have an altar that they can sit in front of.
Yes.
Or be in nature on that day of the eclipse. And because Taurus is very much at earthy energy, Earth Mother energy. And the meditation I'm going to do, it's going to be a quick meditation, but it's something that's very easy to do. I always start with following the breath, like Ron was talking about. I always start. So if you have anxiety or you're unsettled, if you do the counting breath, where you count the inhale and you hold it, and you count, and then you count the exhale, that's very calming to the nervous system. If you do that for like 3 to 5 minutes, it will calm your nervous system. So the image we're going to work with today is the tree and the crystalline tree of life. So if everyone would just close your eyes and just follow the natural rhythm of your breath as it moves inward and outward, like the waves of the ocean, coming in and moving out again. That natural ebb and flow that Ron also mentioned. So just feel that ebb and flow of your breath. And just become aware of the energy of the earth beneath you. You may even tune into the heartbeat of Mother Earth. Just listen. Feel that pulse, that heartbeat of our Mother. And just imagine from the base of your spine, roots extending down into the center of the earth, and roots from the soles of your feet traveling down into the center of the earth, into the Earth Mother's core. And you may even imagine these roots wrapping around her crystalline heart to ground you, and just feeling the roots of your crystalline tree of life. And then feeling your trunk, your body, becoming aware of your heart space. And just breathing into your heart, the seat of your soul within your heart. And within our heart are the threefold flames of our divine love, divine light, and power, where our Holy Spirit rests. And just tuning in to that flame in the center of your heart, in the center of the tree of life that you are. And then feel yourself extending your arms up, and energy and filaments of light going from the crown chakra of your head up to source, as you feel these branches of the tree that you are connecting into the unified field of all creation and into source. So you are connected to both the Earth Mother and Sky Father, universal source, and the unified field, the matrix of light and oneness. And so whatever you're going through, if you do this simple meditation of anchoring your roots and sending your branches out and focusing on your heart center and just allowing yourself to receive whatever it is you need. You can ask for whatever you need from the universe.
And how lucky am I that I get to be with that energy all the time, guys? Come on. So, Deborah, did you tell everybody about the meditations? More about
Yes.
what you're doing? Yes.
So just allow yourself to keep with this energy. And if you'd like to sign up for the
Yes.
full moon meditation, you can reach me at Elelia, which is ELELIA, at Gaia Sophia, templeoftheheart.com. And if you forget that, you can just go to my website, Gaia Sophia, templeoftheheart.com, and you can find a way to reach me that way. So I wish you so many blessings this week as we move into this powerful gateway, eclipse gateway, and many, many blessings and much love. And remember, you are the tree of life. And another thing you can do is put your hand below and say grounded, and then your other hand up, connected,
Ooh, that's
and
good.
therefore protected.
That's
That's
good.
something
We
I
are the
use.
tree. Yes.
We are the tree of life. Okay. Thank you so
Deb.
much, everyone. Much love.
And I'll see you soon, Deb.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
everyone
Bob.
else, You can get a hold of me at Solus, SOULUS at AOL.com. Of course, I do readings and things like that. Be happy to do that for you. We'll be on again, I believe, pretty sure we're going to be on again next Saturday, which will be right there with that eclipse. I want to be there with y'all. And everybody have a great rest of the weekend. And stay centered. Remember, love and truth run this universe. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.